Trust God as you wait, keep the faith. There is a fire in the human soul that refuses to be extinguished. It is the fire of desire. The fire of vision. The fire of the dream God planted within you before you ever took your first breath. But between the planting of that dream and the harvest of that dream, there is a wilderness. There is a valley. There is a season where nothing seems to move. Where prayers hang in the air unanswered. Where effort feels invisible, unrewarded, unseen. And it is in that season that most people surrender. Yet hear me clearly, the waiting season is not abandonment. The waiting season is divine alignment. It is the space where God shapes the vessel before He pours out the blessing. Because a vessel unprepared cannot hold what heaven intends to release. Think of it, steel must be forged in fire before it can carry weight. Diamonds must endure pressure before they shine. Seeds must die in the darkness of the soil before they rise toward the light. And so must you. The world tells you to rush. Society screams for instant results. Social media parades false timelines of overnight success. But destiny cannot be microwaved. Destiny is marinated. Destiny is carved slowly, stroke by stroke, by the hand of time. Abraham Lincoln was defeated in business, broken in love, crushed in elections, yet each setback was not a dead end, it was chiseling. Every failure sanded down arrogance, built resilience, and sharpened clarity, until the man who once seemed cursed by history became the man chosen to change it. Henry Ford was told he was a fool. Thomas Edison was called a failure. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. But they all understood a truth that the impatient cannot grasp: delay is not denial. Delay is development. When you wait with faith, you are not passive, you are pregnant. Something is forming within you. And though the world cannot yet see it, heaven already knows it is alive. Look at Joseph, sold into slavery, thrown into prison, forgotten by men. Year after year passed, and to human eyes his dreams of greatness mocked him. But the waiting was not wasted. It was in prison that his gift was sharpened. It was in darkness that his wisdom matured. And at the appointed time, in a single day, God raised him from the pit to the palace. So do not despise your delay. Do not curse the silence. For silence is often the language of preparation. God does not shout when He is building your foundation, He whispers. And if you are patient enough to listen, you will find that every closed door, every delayed answer, every long night is not proof of His absence, but proof of His orchestration. This is why mindset matters. Because the impatient mind collapses in the waiting. But the faithful mind grows in it. If you believe that every delay is working against you, you will grow bitter. But if you believe that every delay is working for you, you will grow stronger. Carnegie once said that most people give up inches from gold. They dig, and when the soil is hardest, they quit, unaware that the very resistance was proof they were closest to the treasure. So too is life. The waiting feels hardest when the breakthrough is nearest. And only those who refuse to quit inherit the reward. So lift your eyes above the clock. Stop measuring your worth by the calendar. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Every day of waiting is a day of strengthening. Every unanswered prayer is building a deeper well of faith. And every silent moment is proof that God is weaving together something far greater than your limited vision can perceive. Trust Him. For the same God who promised is the God who fulfills. The same God who began is the God who completes. The same God who raised David from shepherd to king, who lifted Moses from exile to deliverer, who turned fishermen into apostles, He has not forgotten you. Your waiting is sacred. Your waiting is holy. Your waiting is proof that something worth waiting for is on its way. So stand tall. Breathe deep. And declare to your own soul, I will not faint in the waiting. I will not surrender my faith to impatience. I will not trade my destiny for convenience. I will trust God as I wait. Faith is not the absence of struggle. Faith is the refusal to let struggle define the end of your story. It is the steel spine in a world that bends easily. It is the voice that whispers stand when everything inside you screams quit. Look at the world around you. Every invention, every empire, every legacy worth remembering was built not by those who ran from the waiting, but by those who embraced it, endured it, and were transformed by it. Edison did not discover the light bulb in a burst of luck, he discovered it in a furnace of persistence. More than 10,000 experiments, each one a reminder that the waiting is never wasted if it builds wisdom. Napoleon Hill wrote that patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. Why? Because patience trains the soul, persistence strengthens the will, and perspiration proves your desire is real. Waiting is not a prison, it is the training ground of champions. And discipline is its closest ally. For discipline is the art of keeping faith alive in the silence. Discipline is rising with purpose even when the breakthrough has not yet arrived. Discipline is working your craft when no audience is watching, preparing for the stage long before the curtain is lifted. Think of the concert pianist who spends years in solitude, practicing scales while no applause echoes back. Think of the athlete who trains in the dark, pushing through pain, with no cameras recording. Think of the writer who fills page after page unseen by the world, refining their voice before the world ever hears it. Each is waiting, but not idly. Each is trusting that their unseen labor is not in vain. And you, yes, you, must do the same. Do not mistake waiting for weakness. Do not confuse patience with passivity. For the waiting season is not a season of sitting, it is a season of sharpening. The waiting is not idle, it is vital. Your dream is a fire, and fire left unattended burns out. Discipline is the oxygen that keeps it alive. Wake with intention. Move with clarity. Act as if the promise is already yours. Because faith without action is a ship without sails, it drifts aimlessly, never reaching its destination. Abraham Lincoln, while enduring defeat after defeat, did not stop preparing speeches. He did not stop refining his message. He knew that when destiny finally called, he had to be ready. If he had waited passively, history would have never remembered his name. So too with you, the waiting is not about if, it is about when. And when your moment arrives, will you be ready? Or will you have wasted the silence and bitterness and distraction? The truth is this: clarity is born in stillness. It is in the quiet hours of waiting that vision sharpens. When the noise of the world dies down, the whispers of purpose grow louder. If you can embrace the silence instead of resenting it, you will hear the guidance that others miss. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from a poor immigrant boy to one of the wealthiest men in history, often spoke of the power of vision. But vision did not appear to him in noise, it appeared in reflection. It was in moments of pause, moments of waiting, that clarity came. And once clarity was forged, nothing could stop him. Your purpose is not found in endless motion. It is found in alignment. And alignment requires stillness. It requires trust. It requires surrender to the truth that God's timing is not yours. Gratitude is the companion of trust. Because while waiting tempts you to count what you lack, gratitude reminds you of what you already hold. Gratitude lifts your eyes from the absence of tomorrow to the abundance of today. And only a grateful heart can carry the weight of blessing without breaking under pride. Do not say, "I will be grateful when it arrives." Say, "I am grateful as I wait." Because gratitude is not a reaction, it is a foundation. And a grateful soul multiplies blessings, while an ungrateful one squanders them. So trust as you wait. Work as you wait. Discipline your habits as you wait. Listen deeply as you wait. And give thanks as you wait. For the waiting is not a detour, it is the direct path to destiny. And those who embrace it, rather than resist it, discover that the silence between the seed and the harvest is where the miracle takes root. Resilience is the crown jewel of the waiting soul. It is the invisible armor that keeps you standing when storms rage and doubts howl. Without resilience, the waiting season becomes unbearable. But with resilience, the waiting season becomes the very place you were made unshakable. History remembers those who endured what others could not. It remembers Nelson Mandela, locked away for 27 years, his body confined but his spirit unconquered. The world thought him forgotten. But when the gates of his prison finally opened, he walked out not as a broken man but as a prepared leader, ready to carry the weight of freedom for an entire nation. That is the power of resilience in waiting. And resilience does not mean you feel no pain. It does not mean you walk without scars. Resilience means you refuse to let pain write the ending. It means every scar becomes a story of survival. It means every obstacle becomes evidence of strength. Think of Abraham Lincoln once again. Born in a log cabin, losing his mother at 9, facing failure after failure, business, elections, personal loss. Any one of these storms could have drowned him. But resilience kept him afloat. Resilience turned his pain into wisdom, his defeats into depth, his waiting into preparation. And when the time was right, America found in him not a politician, but a leader forged in fire. Resilience is not just surviving the waiting, it is growing in it. It is not clinging desperately until the storm passes, it is learning to dance in the rain. It is saying, though I cannot yet see the dawn, I will walk as if the sun has already risen. This is the secret the impatient never learn. They see waiting as wasted time. But the resilient see waiting as sacred time. Because it is in the waiting that God does his deepest work. Character is not built in victory, it is built in valleys. Faith is not strengthened on mountaintops, it is strengthened in shadows. Resilience is not born in ease, it is born in adversity. And adversity is the fire that burns away illusions. It strips you of pride, of arrogance, of entitlement. It teaches you humility, dependence, perseverance. It makes you ready for greatness without being destroyed by it. Edison's countless failures were not just experiments in science, they were experiments in resilience. Every failed attempt was proof that he could withstand defeat without losing faith. Every misstep was evidence that resilience is the true fuel of discovery. And because he endured, the world inherited light. So too with you, your resilience in the waiting will determine your readiness for the blessing. If you collapse under delay, how will you carry destiny? If you surrender when doors are closed, how will you lead when new doors open? Resilience is the weight training of the soul. It strengthens you to bear what is coming. But resilience does not stand alone. It is joined by adaptability. For what good is resilience if you remain rigid? The river that cannot bend will shatter when it meets the rock. But the river that flows around obstacles eventually carves valleys through mountains. Ford adapted. Disney adapted. Lincoln adapted. They did not cling stubbornly to methods that failed, they adjusted, they learned, they evolved. And in the waiting season, adaptability becomes your greatest ally. Because waiting often looks different than you imagined. The path is rarely straight. The promise rarely unfolds as expected. And only the adaptable can remain resilient without becoming bitter. Adaptability is the art of saying, the vision remains, but the method can change. It is holding firmly to your why while remaining flexible with your how. It is understanding that God's plan may not follow your blueprint, but it will always fulfill His purpose. And adaptability requires humility. It requires admitting that you do not see the full picture, that your way is not always the way. It requires trust that detours are not denials, that delays are not defeats, that the waiting is still progress, even when it looks like standing still. Gratitude then weaves itself back in. Because when you are adaptable, you can give thanks even for interruptions. You can be grateful not just for answered prayers, but for unanswered ones. Because sometimes the doors God closes are greater blessings than the doors He opens. And gratitude allows you to see it. Resilience keeps you standing. Adaptability keeps you moving. Gratitude keeps your heart alive. Together they form the holy trinity of the waiting soul. So do not despise the delay. Do not curse the detour. Do not resent the silence. For in these very moments, you are being forged into someone the world cannot shake. And when the appointed time arrives, your resilience, your adaptability, your gratitude will not just carry you to the blessing, they will allow you to sustain it. Learning is the golden thread woven through every season of waiting. For if you emerge from the silence unchanged, then the waiting was wasted. But if you rise from the silence wiser, sharper, more attuned, then the waiting becomes the greatest investment of your life. Life is the sternest of teachers, yet the most generous of guides. It will test you with delays, with disappointments, with detours. And in every test, there is a hidden lesson meant not to punish you, but to prepare you. The impatient miss the lesson because they are too consumed with escape. But the wise, the faithful, the enduring, they find the treasure buried within the trial. Think of Thomas Edison again. Each failure was not simply another missed attempt, it was information. It was knowledge refined. It was clarity gained. Edison did not see his 10,000 failures as a graveyard of wasted time, he saw them as a university of discovery. Each misstep was a professor, each obstacle a classroom. And because he chose to learn, not just to wait, the light was born. Andrew Carnegie, too, surrounded himself with wisdom. He knew that while wealth could be lost, while power could be shaken, while time could be stolen, wisdom remained indestructible. So he devoured books, sought mentors, gathered minds greater than his own. And in the waiting seasons of his career, that wisdom became his fortress. It guided his decisions, sharpened his vision, multiplied his influence. Learning is the weapon that transforms waiting from stagnation into acceleration. Every book you read, every conversation you pursue, every observation you make, it all becomes fuel. While others grow restless and delay, the learner grows prepared. And when opportunity finally knocks, the learner answers not as a novice but as a master. But here lies the secret: true learning requires humility. It requires admitting you do not know it all, admitting you still have ground to cover, admitting that even in silence, God is teaching. Pride will blind you in waiting. But humility will enlighten you. And those who humble themselves before the lesson will rise greater than those who seek to escape it. Consider Walt Disney. Before the empire, before the parks, before the characters who shaped generations, he was fired for lacking creativity. Most would have cursed the rejection, but Disney studied it. He learned. He sharpened his vision, expanded his imagination, refused to let one editor define his worth. And because he chose to learn, he became the editor of dreams for the entire world. So I ask you, what are you learning as you wait? Are you absorbing wisdom, or are you wasting the silence and complaint? Are you sharpening your craft, or dulling your edge with distraction? Are you reflecting, observing, growing, or merely existing? The waiting will either break you or build you. It will either harden your heart or deepen your wisdom. The choice lies not in the circumstances but in your response. Gratitude, discipline, resilience, adaptability all find their power in learning. For how can you be grateful if you cannot see the lesson in the pain? How can you be disciplined if you do not learn the habits that sustain greatness? How can you be resilient if you do not learn that setbacks are seeds? How can you be adaptable if you do not learn that change is often the hand of God redirecting your steps? The greatest leaders were the greatest learners. Lincoln devoured books by candlelight. Mandela studied law even behind prison bars. Carnegie surrounded himself with thinkers far beyond his own education. Edison lived in a laboratory of endless curiosity. They did not let the waiting go to waste, they let it refine them. And you must do the same. Do not waste your waiting. Do not drown it in distraction, in bitterness, in self-pity. Elevate it into a classroom, a training ground, a sacred workshop where God chisels you into the person capable of carrying your destiny. Because when your time arrives, and it will, you will discover that the waiting was not a delay at all. It was acceleration in disguise. It was not holding you back, it was launching you forward. It was not the silence of neglect, it was the silence of creation. So learn. Grow. Listen. Observe. Take every moment of waiting as a divine assignment. Because those who learn in silence will roar with wisdom when their season arrives. And in the end, you will not look back and curse the years of delay. You will bless them. Because they did not rob you, they remade you. Purpose is the compass that steadies you in the waiting. Without it, the silence feels empty. Without it, the delays feel meaningless. Without it, every obstacle feels like a dead end. But when you know your purpose, waiting is no longer a void, it is a journey. It becomes a sacred road where every step, no matter how slow, still carries meaning. Purpose turns the prison into preparation, the wilderness into wisdom, the valley into vision. Joseph held on through slavery and prison because his dreams revealed his purpose. Mandela held on through decades of captivity because freedom was his purpose. Lincoln held on through crushing defeats because unity was his purpose. Purpose is the anchor that keeps the soul from drifting when storms rage. And your purpose is not something you invent, it is something you uncover. It is written into your design. It is woven into your spirit. It is not hidden from you, it is hidden within you. And the waiting season is where God slowly peels back the layers until you can see it clearly. But purpose is more than passion. Passion excites, but passion fades. Purpose endures. Passion burns quickly, but purpose burns steadily. Passion may get you started, but only purpose will keep you standing when the ground shakes. Edison's purpose was not simply to invent, it was to illuminate the world. Ford's purpose was not simply to build cars, it was to make mobility accessible to ordinary people. Disney's purpose was not simply to entertain, it was to awaken imagination. Purpose elevates labor into legacy. And discipline becomes effortless when fueled by purpose. A soldier does not endure grueling training for the love of pain, he endures it for the love of purpose. A mother does not sacrifice sleep and comfort for the joy of exhaustion, she does it for the love of purpose. A leader does not press on after countless defeats because failure feels good, he does it because purpose demands it. So if the waiting feels unbearable, search deeper for your purpose. Because when you find it, you will realize that waiting is not wasted, it is part of the mission. The silence is sharpening you for the assignment. The delay is aligning you for the destiny. The struggle is sculpting you for the service. Purpose also protects you. For in waiting seasons, distractions multiply. The world will tempt you with shortcuts, with easier paths, with hollow rewards. And without purpose, you will chase them. But with purpose, you will say no to what looks good so you can say yes to what is great. Carnegie said that the man who cannot focus his mind on one definite purpose will scatter his energies like a leaf in the wind. But the man who locks onto one definite aim will move mountains. Purpose focuses. Purpose filters. Purpose fuels. And faith ties it all together. Because purpose is often larger than logic. It is bigger than what you can see. And only faith gives you the courage to pursue what seems impossible. Consider Moses, standing before the Red Sea with an army of enemies behind him. Logic screamed defeat. But purpose whispered destiny. And faith commanded him to raise his staff, and the sea split. When you walk in purpose with faith, the impossible bends to your steps. So as you wait, ask yourself not, when will it happen? Ask, who am I becoming in the waiting? Ask, what lesson is shaping me? Ask, how is my purpose being revealed? Because destiny is not just about arrival, it is about becoming the kind of person who can sustain what you receive. Without purpose, blessings crush. Without purpose, success collapses. Without purpose, riches rot. But with purpose, every blessing multiplies, every success expands, every resource becomes a tool for something eternal. And purpose thrives only in patience. The oak tree does not rush its roots, for it knows its purpose is to last centuries. The eagle does not rush its wings, for it knows its purpose is to soar higher than storms. And you must not rush your journey, for your purpose is greater than a quick reward, it is eternal significance. So steady your heart. Anchor your vision. Align your actions. For the waiting is not empty, it is sacred. And when you live with purpose, every moment of delay becomes preparation for impact. You are not just waiting for opportunity, you are becoming opportunity. You are not just waiting for doors, you are becoming the key. You are not just waiting for destiny, you are becoming destiny. Trust God as you wait. Keep the faith. Because your purpose is greater than your impatience. And when the time comes, you will see that every second of waiting was worth the eternity of impact. Action is the bridge between waiting and fulfillment. Faith without action is only a wish. Vision without movement is only a dream. Purpose without steps is only potential. The waiting season is not a call to sit idly by, it is a call to act in faith, even when the outcome is unseen. The farmer who plants seed in barren soil does not know if rain will come, yet he plants. The builder who lays bricks in the dust does not know if the city will rise, yet he builds. The dreamer who studies, trains, and labors does not know when destiny will knock, yet he prepares. That is action born of faith. Abraham Lincoln did not stop writing speeches though election after election crushed him. Henry Ford did not stop sketching engines though critics laughed at his failures. Edison did not stop experimenting though 10,000 attempts seemed to prove him a fool. Why? Because action is faith in motion. And action in waiting is proof that you believe the promise is real. Do not say, "I will act when the door opens." Act now, and the door will open. Do not say, "I will move when the opportunity comes." Move now, and opportunity will find you moving. The universe, history, God Himself responds to those who act in faith, even in silence. Napoleon Hill declared that every great fortune began with a single definite decision, followed by relentless action. Not occasional action. Not convenient action. Relentless action. The kind of action that continues when applause is absent, when recognition is nowhere in sight, when reward is still a distant horizon. And discipline sustains that action. Discipline is doing what must be done, even when you feel nothing. Discipline is rising before dawn, not because success has arrived, but because you are preparing for its arrival. Discipline is crafting excellence in obscurity so that when light shines on you, you are already refined. Consider the story of Disney once again. His first studio collapsed. He faced bankruptcy, betrayal, ridicule. But he did not stop creating. He did not stop drawing. He did not stop building worlds in his imagination. And because he acted in obscurity, he built an empire that generations now walk through in wonder. So too with you. You cannot wait for motivation, you must build momentum. You cannot wait for clarity, you must create clarity by moving forward. The road will not reveal itself to those who sit still, it reveals itself to those who walk it. Faith is the spark. Purpose is the compass. Discipline is the fuel. But action is the vehicle. And a vehicle standing still, no matter how powerful, goes nowhere. Do not let fear paralyze you. Fear is the great thief of action. It whispers, "What if you fail?" But faith responds, "What if I succeed?" Fear says, "Wait until you are ready." Faith says, "Act now, and readiness will come." Fear says, "The risk is too great." Faith says, "The reward is greater than the risk." Even God honors action. When Moses raised his staff, the sea split. When David swung his sling, the giant fell. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he walked on water. Faith without action is lifeless, but faith with action moves mountains. So what action can you take now? What skill can you sharpen? What step can you climb? What seed can you plant? Do not despise small beginnings, for great victories are built on small steps taken consistently. A single brick laid each day builds a cathedral. A single page written each morning creates a book. A single habit practiced with faith can transform an entire destiny. And gratitude fuels this action. Because when you act with gratitude, every step feels lighter. When you move with gratitude, every obstacle becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. When you labor with gratitude, even the waiting feels holy. Remember this, waiting is not meant to paralyze you, it is meant to prepare you. And preparation requires action. Waiting is not meant to strip you of movement, it is meant to align your movement with destiny. So act. Move. Build. Prepare. Live today as though the promise has already been answered. And when the silence breaks, you will not be scrambling, you will be ready. Because the waiting season is not about sitting in hope, it is about walking in faith. And faith always moves. Resilience. This is the virtue that transforms waiting into triumph. Because no matter how powerful your vision, no matter how deep your faith, no matter how relentless your action, life will test you. It will strike you with delays, with losses, with betrayals, with storms you never saw coming. And in those moments, when everything in you feels like breaking, resilience is the anchor that keeps you from drifting away. The oak tree does not grow tall because the wind is absent, but because the wind is constant. The diamond does not shine because it was spared pressure, but because it was crushed beneath it. Steel is not strong because it avoided the fire, but because it endured the flames. So too will you rise, not in spite of the challenges, but because of them. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than most men will ever run. Thomas Edison faced ridicule for his countless failures. Henry Ford watched his first businesses collapse before the Model T was ever born. And Walt Disney, yes, Disney, was told he lacked imagination by the very people who could not see what was in his soul. They all knew this truth: resilience is the rarest currency in the world. Talent fades, money disappears, opportunities vanish, but resilience endures. Resilience does not mean you never fall. It means you rise every time you fall. Resilience does not mean you never cry. It means your tears water the seeds of tomorrow. Resilience does not mean you never doubt. It means you keep walking, even in the fog of uncertainty. Waiting is a furnace that forges resilience. When answers are delayed, when progress feels invisible, when silence lingers longer than your patience, this is when resilience is born. Not in the easy times. Not in the moments of applause. But in the nights when you are alone, questioning if you can continue, and you choose to keep going anyway. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, cast into prison for a crime he did not commit. For years, his life was one long waiting room filled with injustice. But resilience carried him from the pit to the palace. And when his time came, he was not only prepared, he was transformed. His resilience turned pain into wisdom, delay into destiny, trial into triumph. So too with you. Your setbacks are not evidence of failure, they are training for resilience. Your unanswered prayers are not abandonment, they are invitations to grow unshakable. Your waiting is not punishment, it is preparation for a weight of destiny greater than you can yet bear. And gratitude strengthens resilience. Gratitude is the choice to say, I may not have what I want yet, but I will honor what I have. I may not be where I dream yet, but I am thankful for where I stand. I may not understand the delay, but I trust the one who holds the timeline. Gratitude turns waiting from a prison into a school. It transforms every trial into a teacher. It reveals that you are not losing time, you are gaining strength. And when you look back, you will see that the very seasons you wished would end were the seasons that made you unbreakable. Picture the sculptor. He strikes the stone again and again, and nothing seems to change. But he does not stop. Because he knows each strike weakens the invisible resistance within the marble. And then, one day, the stone splits and the form hidden within is revealed. So too with your resilience. Every act of endurance, every moment of faith, every time you refuse to quit, it is another strike against the resistance. And one day, breakthrough will come. Not suddenly, but inevitably. This is why you must keep the faith as you wait. Because resilience is not about surviving the waiting, it is about thriving within it. It is about rising every day with determination, about walking forward even when the road is unclear, about believing that every storm is shaping you into someone stronger than the storm itself. The world does not belong to the strongest, nor the fastest, nor even the smartest, it belongs to the most resilient. The ones who keep going when others give up. The ones who bend but do not break. The ones who trust God not only when doors open, but also when every door seems locked. So hold on. Stand tall. Do not let the waiting break you, let it build you. For every second you endure with faith, resilience is being forged in your spirit. And when the silence finally shatters, when the answer finally arrives, when the vision finally takes form, you will not just walk into destiny, you will storm into it, unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. Adaptability. The ability to bend without breaking, to adjust without surrendering, to change your methods without abandoning your mission. This is what separates those who collapse in waiting from those who rise through it. For waiting is not static, it is dynamic. The world shifts around you. Circumstances change. Opportunities vanish, and new ones emerge. If you cling to a single path with rigidity, you will miss the road that destiny lays before you. But if you remain adaptable, if you trust that God's timing may lead you in directions you never imagined, then every detour becomes divine. Consider the story of Henry Ford. His early businesses failed. His first models were dismissed. But instead of surrendering to defeat, he adapted. He learned from every collapse, every miscalculation, every rejection. And his adaptability transformed failure into the foundation of the automobile revolution. Edison too was adaptable. Thousands of experiments that ended in smoke and shattered glass could have broken him. But he adapted, adjusted, altered his course, and because of it, the world is illuminated. Adaptability is the art of learning. To wait without learning is to waste the waiting. But to wait and to learn it, to read, to listen, to seek wisdom, to refine your craft, that is how you turn delay into destiny. Abraham Lincoln once said, "I will study and prepare myself, and someday my chance will come." He did not waste the years in obscurity. He filled them with learning. So when his moment arrived, he was not scrambling to be ready, he was ready because he had been learning all along. This is the key: waiting is not about inactivity, it is about preparation through adaptability and learning. Every closed door is an invitation to learn a new skill. Every delay is an opportunity to grow deeper roots. Every setback is a classroom for resilience. And in this classroom, God Himself is the teacher. He uses silence to sharpen your listening. He uses detours to refine your patience. He uses delays to strengthen your faith. And the lesson is always this: trust the process, trust the timing, trust Him. Divine timing does not bend to human impatience. It does not move because we demand it. It moves when the orchestration is perfect, when the alignment is exact, when your preparation meets opportunity in flawless harmony. Think of a symphony. The violins do not rush ahead of the horns. The percussion does not strike before the conductor signals. Each note comes exactly when it is meant to. Too early, and the music collapses into chaos. Too late, and the beauty is lost. But at the right time, every sound blends into perfection. So it is with your life. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is not random, it is part of a grand composition. And when the moment comes, you will see why the waiting was necessary. Joseph's prison was part of the palace. David's years with sheep prepared him for the throne. Moses' wilderness trained him to lead a nation. And your waiting, yes, even your waiting, is weaving you into something greater than you can yet comprehend. But this requires faith. Faith that says, I may not see the whole picture, but I trust the artist. I may not understand the timing, but I trust the conductor. I may not know why I must adapt, but I trust the author of my story. Faith is not fragile, it is fierce. It is not blind, it is visionary. It sees beyond the moment into eternity. It does not crumble in silence, it thrives in it. And as you adapt, as you learn, as you trust divine timing, gratitude keeps your spirit alive. Gratitude that says, thank you for the doors that closed, they protected me. Thank you for the delays, they prepared me. Thank you for the detours, they positioned me. Thank you for the silence, it taught me to hear you more clearly. When you live with this kind of faith, this kind of adaptability, this kind of gratitude, waiting no longer feels like a curse, it feels like a sacred calling. You begin to see that you are not being punished, but prepared. Not abandoned, but aligned. Not delayed, but destined. And then, when your time comes, you will not only step into it, you will soar into it. Because you will not simply have been waiting, you will have been becoming. Patience and faith, these are not weak virtues, they are warrior virtues. For it takes no strength to move when the road is clear. It takes no courage to believe when the evidence is visible. It takes no greatness to hold faith when blessings are overflowing. But it takes a soul of steel to keep trusting when the sky is silent, when prayers seem unanswered, when every sign points to nothing changing. And yet, this is the soil in which greatness is grown. The world is filled with those who gave up too soon, who surrendered their dream just before dawn. But history remembers the ones who endured. The ones who trusted. The ones who held the line when everything around them said, quit. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet he did not let bitterness destroy him. He emerged not broken, but stronger, ready to lead a nation into freedom. That was patience. That was faith. That was trust in a vision greater than his circumstances. Helen Keller, blind and deaf from infancy, could have surrendered to despair. But instead, she trusted that her limitations were not her destiny. Through faith and relentless resilience, she became a voice for millions, proof that waiting and struggle can shape a message powerful enough to echo through history. Waiting is not the enemy. Impatience is. Impatience convinces you that delay is denial. Impatience whispers that silence means abandonment. Impatience tricks you into walking away from the very breakthrough that was already on its way. But those who wait with faith, those who trust God in the delay, those who remain patient under pressure, they inherit promises others never see. Look at the seed again. It spends months hidden in darkness. Nothing to show. No proof of life. And yet, beneath the soil, something sacred is happening. Roots are stretching deeper, unseen, anchoring the seed for storms it has not yet faced. The breakthrough will come, but only when the roots are ready. So too with your life. You are not buried, you are planted. Your silence is not death, it is preparation. Patience is the willingness to trust that what is unseen is greater than what is seen. Faith is the conviction that the unseen will one day be revealed. Together, they make you unshakable. And in the waiting, never forget, God has not forgotten you. The silence of heaven is not neglect, it is strategy. The pause in your story is not the end, it is a comma. The delay in your dream is not rejection, it is redirection towards something higher. Do not let the temporary convince you to abandon the eternal. Do not let the present cloud blind you to the sunrise that is coming. Every saint, every leader, every visionary had to wait. And every one of them discovered that what God brings in His time is always greater than what we could have forced in ours. Consider the eagle. It does not fear the storm. It waits for the storm. Because the storm creates the wind that lifts it higher than it could ever fly on its own. The storm is not its enemy, the storm is its servant. So too with your trials. They are not here to destroy you, they are here to elevate you. What you call delay, God calls preparation. What you call silence, God calls strategy. What you call waiting, God calls building. Patience is not passive, it is powerful. It is the bold declaration that says, I will not give up, I will not give in, I will not lose faith, because I know the one I trust. And when you carry this faith, you become unstoppable. No storm can shake you. No delay can break you. No betrayal can end you. Because you know the truth, God's timing is perfect, His plan is flawless, and His hand is on your life even in the silence. So do not fear the waiting. Embrace it. For the waiting season is where your roots grow deep, your faith grows strong, your resilience is forged, your adaptability is sharpened, your gratitude is tested, and your destiny is prepared. And when the day comes, and it will come, you will rise not as the person who entered the waiting, but as the person who was transformed by it. There will come a moment when the waiting ends. When the silence breaks. When the doors swing wide, and everything you prayed for, fought for, endured for, comes rushing into your life like a flood. And in that moment, you will understand why you had to wait. You will see that every delay was protection. Every detour was redirection. Every silence was strategy. Every tear was irrigation for the harvest you are about to reap. You will look back on the nights of loneliness, the days of disappointment, the seasons of obscurity, and you will not curse them, you will bless them. Because they forged you. Because they trained you. Because they taught you to trust God when nothing made sense. And trust is the ultimate victory. Trust is faith matured. Trust is belief that no longer wavers with circumstance. Trust is surrender, not out of weakness, but out of strength, the strength that says, even if I do not understand, I will follow. Even if I cannot see, I will believe. Even if I must wait longer, I will keep the faith. This is the spirit of every great leader, every visionary, every dreamer who ever transformed the world. Lincoln trusted when defeat surrounded him. Mandela trusted when prison walls closed in on him. Edison trusted when failure mocked him. Disney trusted when critics laughed at him. And you, yes, you, are called to trust in the silence, to believe in the waiting, to hold the faith until the promise comes alive. For the promise will come. The harvest will break through. The vision will manifest. But not in your time, in God's perfect time. So what do you do as you wait? You live as if the blessing is already here. You walk as if the breakthrough is inevitable. You rise each morning with discipline, you act with faith, you adapt with wisdom, you endure with resilience, you overflow with gratitude. Because waiting is not wasting, it is worship. And every act of faith in the waiting is incense rising to heaven. Do not envy those who seem to run ahead of you. Do not measure your pace by theirs. Theirs is not your race. Your path is unique, your destiny is distinct, your timing is divine. A flower does not bloom by competing with the flower beside it, it blooms because the sun touches it when the season is right. And your season will come. Not a second late. Not a moment early. But exactly when it should. Trust God as you wait. Keep the faith when the silence grows heavy. Hold the line when the night feels endless. Because the dawn is coming. And when it comes, it will come in such brilliance that every shadow will flee, every doubt will vanish, every fear will dissolve. You will stand in the light of answered prayers, and the weight of gratitude will overwhelm you. You will realize that the God who held you in silence was always working, always guiding, always aligning, always preparing. And you will know with unshakable certainty that not a moment was wasted, not a tear was forgotten, not a single season of waiting was in vain. So lift your head. Straighten your back. Take a deep breath. This is not the end of your story. This is the refining fire before the glory. This is the midnight before the sunrise. This is the silence before the symphony. Trust God as you wait. Keep the faith when it hurts. Keep the faith when it delays. Keep the faith when it feels impossible. Because faith is the key that unlocks every door, the anchor that holds in every storm, the torch that lights every darkness. And when the waiting is over, and it will be over, you will not simply step into destiny, you will soar into it. You will not merely receive blessing, you will become blessing. You will not only walk in promise, you will embody purpose. The world will see you and wonder how you endured. And your answer will be simple. I trusted God as I waited. I kept the faith when everything told me to quit. And now, I stand not in my own strength, but in the strength of the one who carried me through. So wait with courage. Wait with purpose. Wait with unshakable faith. Because the greatest stories are not written in the moment of victory, they are written in the long nights of waiting. And yours is still being written. Trust God. Keep the faith. Your time is coming. And when it comes, the world will never be the same.